This week on the all-new Half Step Down, Renee attempts an Austin Powers impression.
Yeah, man.
Jose explains attitudes in the 60s. No one gave a shit about the after effects of drugs. And the boys talk about the ins and outs of owning a record player.
Needles are hard to come by now.
Are they? That's right, we're back. New episode starts now.
Jose, what are your thoughts on vinyl? Like, I was listening to some vinyl, and are you the kind of guy that just plays your records over and over again?
I'm gonna be completely honest, man. I don't play my records that often because I have a very small child in the house, and he destroys my record player.
Oh gosh, what does he do to your record player?
Well, I've had to actually tape down the cover to the turntable because the last time he grabbed the needle and just ripped it off. So I had to buy a new cartridge.
Needles are hard to come by now.
Are they?
Maybe they're not hard to come by, but it's difficult to find the right one. And then when you finally find it, then next thing you know, it's an expensive needle, it's an expensive cartridge. You're gonna have to buy a new one after you just bought one. Because that happened to me not too long ago. Because obviously to the audience, sometimes I don't see very well, so I'll bump into things. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to close the lid. So I moved my arm too far and I kind of snapped off the cartridge a little bit. I thought I had broken it. I was really mad. I was really bummed out of myself. But then it took me. They're expensive, man. Cartridges can be quite expensive.
I know you can get some. I guess if you're doing a really crazy one, mine was $30.
Yeah. I was listening to a record. The reason I asked, I was listening to a record earlier, and it was a clear record. And I don't know about you, but I love just being able to see these records spin that have all these splatters on it and all these random colors. I think it's pretty cool to see sometimes.
I agree.
So I was mentioning that because we are no one can see me right now, but I'm going to be doing air quotes. We are a brand new podcast because we are doing our, would you call it, a relaunch of our show.
We are relaunching the Half Step Down podcast, that is for sure.
That's right, everybody. Welcome to the Half Step Down podcast. I am your host, Renee Grano. This is a music podcast where we give you a soundtrack, where Jose and I create a soundtrack for every situation. And I just gave away his name, but with me, as always, is Jose Martinez. How are you today, sir?
I'm not bad at all, man. I'm not bad at all.
Are you ready for the heat?
I'm ready, man. I've been going to the pool at my mother-in-law's pretty much every day when we can go.
Okay. All right. It's going to be really hot out here in Southern California.
Dude, 112.
The next couple days. 112 both days, Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be brutal. Jose, why don't you give a little more information on what the podcast is about now?
So we decided that we were going to change the structure of the podcast. We used to do a thing where we would each pick an album from our own personal collection or something we like. But now we've decided to move on to picking songs for the perfect songs for specific situations. And I think we did that because we found that we were able to really kind of explore more music, talk about different bands, and really kind of bring in our other love, which is basically popular culture. And movies, video games, comic books, and just kind of have more fun with it. It was especially clear when it was an album that I really liked and you didn't, or you really liked and I wasn't. It just became apparent that we need to be able to open this up to more bands, more groups.
I totally agree, and I think this is. I am so much more excited. I was excited when we first started the podcast. As you remember, we went to go see Motion City Soundtrack together, and I said, why don't we make a podcast? Let's do a podcast where we talk about our favorite records and we try to influence each other on things that we like and don't like, right? And then we, like you said, I think we wanted to go a different direction. I think some of the most fun that you and I have on this show is the fact that we're able to kind of just riff and talk about things even though it has nothing to do with the record. And I think being able to create a soundtrack, pick a handful of songs and put them together for people can listen to later, I think is even cooler than say, hey, go listen to this particular record. Because would you agree with me that listening to an entire record is kind of a harder thing to do now, especially because it's so much easier for us to pick one song, pick another, right? And you don't listen to an entire album anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely. I want to compare it to it's listening to a whole record is like a process, right? It requires like some time, and it is definitely something I do enjoy doing. I think we both do. I think if everybody gets the chance, they like to do it, but let's face it, man. We live in a Spotify or Google Play, YouTube world. You're listening to music on the go. You're either on the bus, you're on the train, you're driving in your car. So I just thought we could go with a more kind of modern direction. But we will be recommending albums and stuff, I think, on this show for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I apologize ahead of time, guys, if you hear my dog bark or growl. He is in my room today and he is not in his regular bedroom where he sleeps. And yes, he has his own bedroom. Don't judge me.
No one should judge you, man. This is a free podcast. I don't understand why anyone would want to judge you.
Right, exactly. Why don't we go into the soundtrack? What is this week's theme?
All right, so every week we pick a theme, some situation that maybe you would require some music, or maybe the music would make it better. But this one, I don't know if people would want to find themselves in this situation, but we thought it would be fun to talk about songs that would do this. But just imagine a situation where things are about to get romantic, like really romantic, right? So the mood is right. Everything is going your way. And then that one song comes on and just destroys the mood. These are our mood killer songs.
Yeah, man. It is. It would be kind of a difficult situation to get back from a song that just really just ruins the mood in any way, shape, or form. And it's like I lost it. It always reminds me of the George Costanza scene in Seinfeld where they're having makeup sex. I think it was a couple of days after a fight, and they're talking about trying to open up the wrapper, and he's like, I can never get the wrapper open on time, and it just kind of ruins the whole mood for him.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so let's so this is our rendition of our Mood Killer soundtrack, I would think, right? Would people want to buy a soundtrack that's just called, now that's what I call Mood Killers Volume 1?
I think, you know what? For comedic purposes, I'm going to say yeah. I would.
I would.
Because you know what?
Purchase 2 of them.
These songs may be mood killers, but I got some bangers on here.
That's going to be for the audience to decide. Why don't we go ahead and go with your first pick, Jose?
All right, so the first song I decided to go with was good old Meredith Brooks' Bitch off of 1997's Blurring the Edges. You've heard this song before in probably every movie. It was all over the radio when this thing first came out. It's kind of like a mainstream rock, alternative rock, typical 1997 jam. Renee, what did you think of this one?
So when we first talked about this, you said, hey, listen to Meredith Brooks' Bitch. And I said, I've never heard that song. And you said, you have heard that song before. So just to give a quick listen, I think because it wasn't on the original list that you gave me. So right before we recorded our show, I went and took a listen to it. And all I heard was the first couple riffs. And I go, yep, I've heard this song.
Yeah.
And all I did was just laugh because it's just one of those because that chorus is just so abrupt and you know, she just has a way of putting things, of just setting the tone and so saying, you know what, I'm a bitch and I don't care, and this is what you get.
Yeah, the song is so tongue in cheek to me. It's almost like you can't take it seriously, and I could not imagine any romantic situation where that song would come on and you wouldn't just look at each other like, let's just laugh this off. Because you don't know, man, there's just something about it. It's so kind of corny, but goddamn, does that get stuck in your head if that comes on at the right time?
I think you and I should cover that song.
You know what? There are certain songs that are uncoverable. There are certain songs that are just kind of perfect the way they are, and I think Meredith Brooks' Bitch is that song. But you know what? Let's do it anyway.
We can always change it and just call it Dick and make it a man's version.
We could do that. But would that not... I don't know if that'd be woke, man. I don't know if that'd be woke. We got to let her have her thing. She was a... You remember Lilith Fair?
I do.
I think she was like a Lilith Fair staple, man. That was some crazy stuff.
Oh, geez. Let's go to the next one.
All right, man. This was your pick. We got classic butt rock right here, man. We got Nickelback, How You Remind Me, off of 2001's Silver Side Up. You got to tell me why you picked this one, Renee.
I think the silence says it all.
I think you were a little ashamed that you picked it, but that's okay. You just go ahead and let's go with this.
Okay, so I think there's two types of people in this world, and there's the people who love Nickelback and the people that hate Nickelback. I don't think there's any in between. And I'm going to give you guys a little story about why I chose this song. I was in the car with my girlfriend, bless her heart, and she has a very I don't know if it's considered narrow, but her idea of what rock music is and punk rock to her all sound the same, right? Like genres to her all sound the same. So she basically told me, she goes, well, to me, Green Day and My Chemical Romance are the same type of music. I said, no, that's not how that works, Shayla. It's totally different. And she says, well, isn't Nickelback and X band the same type of music? I go, don't ever compare Nickelback to anything else. And so I decided that Nickelback would be any mood killer for me now. Like any Nickelback at all. I respect Nickelback for the musicians for the fact that they did what they did, and they said, hey, we're gonna stick to butt rock and we're gonna make names for ourselves, and they did. But that's definitely something I wouldn't get. That would definitely kill my mood.
I think the only person whose mood it doesn't kill is Avril Lavigne, right? Didn't she end up marrying that guy?
Avril Lavigne married? No, she married Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy.
She's married to the dude from Fall Out Boy? I swear to God, she's married to the dude from Nickelback. I'm going to look this up right now.
Yeah. I could have sworn Avril Lavigne was married to Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy. One of the greatest bass players of all time.
Obviously. Avril Lavigne, I'm looking it up now. She is married to... Come on. This makes
I
her...
thought she...
Yeah, dude, she's married to Chad Kroeger, the lead singer of Nickelback.
Okay, so can you find out who Pete Wentz married?
She had originally married the dude from Sum 41, Derek Whibley, but they got a divorce. Then she married Chad Kroeger, and now they got a divorce. And you're thinking of now I got to look up who Pete Wentz.
Yeah. Now we got to look up the some of the best musicians over the last century.
Pete Wentz. I'm busting out the Wikipedia.
The Wikipedia. I wasn't going to say anything, but you said Spotify earlier.
He's married. Well, he was married to Ashley Simpson. They got a divorce.
Okay. So that's who he had married. Sorry about this, guys. This it's a free podcast. What can we?
It's a free podcast, and we like to talk about this kind of stuff, man. Yeah. 100%.
So, what did you think? What did you think about my pick?
You know, man, Nickelback, dude. I don't know how to feel about them. I can't hate on these guys because I try not to hate on anybody. But man, like they're just one of those bands that's just such an enigma to me. Like whenever I hear their songs, I'm like, I guess I can understand why you like this band. But I've never met a Nickelback fan. I've never met someone that's like, yeah, I'm all about it. There's a comedian, Jonah Ray, who had this joke. He was talking about how Nickelback's one of those bands, like I've never met one of their fans, but when they come to town, they're playing the Staples Center.
Yeah.
It's probably, being in Los Angeles, it's probably a lot of Orange County, man. I got to be honest.
I would think Nickelback to me just raves, just like shoots out Orange County. I would think that they're better. They make more. They sell out Honda Center shows, I would think.
I just picture truck. I just picture truck nuts and Oakleys. That's about it.
Oakleys, huh? And yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I would. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't have much to say about Nickelback except that it's a mood killer. Next song.
Right. Next one. This one. Okay. A little. Let's just go for it, right, man. So this next one I picked for you. Mortis, Song of a Long Forgotten Ghost, Part 1. Okay, this was released in 1993. It was a self-release on a cassette. And Renee, I gave you Part 1 because the original cassette, I think the song I gave you was about 6 minutes. The song, A Long Forgotten Ghost, is 1 hour long song. It's an entire cassette. It's dungeon synth or dark ambient music. Renee,
excuse me.
No. I do not excuse you, but that's okay. You cough again. It's a free podcast.
Thank you.
What'd you think of Mortis, man?
Mortisman. Steve Mortisman. Here's the thing about Mortisman. I could have sworn I've heard this before because I'm not sure if our audience knows, but I don't know if we mentioned this before, but we have a game night group where we get together. Well, we used to get together every Wednesday, and we would play an RPG with D&D, right? So I would think that would you play this sort of music while we were in the middle of a campaign?
Absolutely. I played a lot of Mortis and Burzum and like all that, like dungeons and stuff.
Yeah, so in the middle of a campaign, it fits the mood, right? You start to it just makes sense. You don't really listen to it, but it's just in the background. It's just something that keeps you in character if you're playing the game, right? But when you first gave this to me, I said, "Oh, I was waiting for the metal. I was waiting for metal to just come in and just rock or somebody to sing or something, and it just never came. It just never came." And then I said, if this is part 1, I can imagine what part 2 is like.
So what you need to understand is this was recorded on like one keyboard. The thing I love about that whole thing is it's so unbelievably unpolished. Like the timing's a little bit off on it.
Yeah.
You can tell this dude's just like going for it. But in a world, you got it 93 to have the gumption and the balls to just record essentially like Renaissance Fair music, self-release it, and then just start releasing it on cassette tapes. I got to give the guy some props. Have I explained to you what he looks like, what he dresses like live?
No.
He makes himself look like a 1,000-year-old elf. He puts on like a long nose and like ears. I will find, I think that the album's name is Stargate, and I will find that album art and I'll show it to you because it is.
God, I wish the Renaissance Fair had elves. I feel like I think that there needs to be more of a fantasy Renaissance Fair in our area.
They have
and not LARPing. I'm talking like an actual fair. Yeah.
No, they have like theme days at the Ren Fair. I know because our buddy E-Man is really into it, and he goes like a lot when they're around. You want to know something that's interesting? That's really weird. So our buddies they like to cycle. Sometimes they'll cycle at night, especially in the summer. And here in Southern California, the Renaissance Fair, or at least where we are at in the San Gabriel Valley, is in this recreational area by a dam, and it's basically in a mini valley. Like there's a bike path above it, and I was unaware that I guess the Renaissance Fair people just live in like the encampment that the Renaissance Fair is in. And they tell me that they used to ride bikes late at night, and when the Renaissance Fair is there, those dudes are up all night. They've got like bonfires going. They're just essentially living the life, man. Living the life of the Renaissance, huh? That Ren Fair life, dude. That's gotta be.
They're a traveling. It's a traveling fair, so they. I think they do it all year round, don't they? It's not just a handful of cities. I think, from what I remember, they travel everywhere.
Yeah, man, it's all over the place.
Yeah, I love the Ren Fair, man. It's so much fun. For anybody that hasn't gone, look up the Ren Fair in your area. It's a lot of fun.
Get yourself some mead.
You get yourself some turkey legs and just eat like a barbarian if you can.
I agree, man.
Yeah. What's the next song, Jose?
All right, man. Your next song was The Story So Far, High Regard, off of Under Soil and Dirt. This is from 2011, and I was incorrect in labeling this as an emo song. You told me this is a pop punk song, correct?
Yes, correct.
I think it should be known to the audience that Renee is very specific about his genres and subgenres of music. If that was not immediately made clear from the whole interaction with his girlfriend, he is very specific.
Sometimes I can be. Yeah, I'd like to think so. So I chose this song. I don't know if you really sat down and listened to the lyrics or read them when you heard the song. The reason I picked the song because it's very abundant that when you hear this guy sing, when you hear this specific song and you listen to it, he's angry about something, man. Something, whatever this girl did to this guy is just he's just very angry. And there was an ongoing meme for a while. I don't know if it was a meme or I'm not 100% sure, but in the pop punk scene for a while, when these guys were super big back in 2011, there was a meme going on where they would say that who hurt you, Parker Cannon, because every song that was.
I had to show you this real quick. Can you see that?
What is that?
You see this guy?
Oh, is that him? Oh,
that's
okay.
him. That's him. Sorry. Wow. I interrupted Renee's story to show a picture of
he shared,
of a Mortis on the album Stargate, where he has literally on what I can only imagine as kind of like a Batman-esque elf costume with a skull cod piece. I'm going to put this on the artwork for the podcast just because I think it's hilarious.
You're going to have to. Yeah.
Sorry, I found it while you were talking, but let's get back to the story.
It's okay. So this song to me is a total mood killer because if I'm in the middle of some hot stuff, man, and I start listening to this Parker Cannon guy scream how much he hates this chick, I just I can't do this. It's I'm either gonna laugh or say, God, man, we got to turn this off. We got to go to song number 3. Time to switch this track here.
Yeah, man. Generally, the heavier music, the more aggressive music, it's hard to make out or really get the mood going to any of that stuff. I always just laugh at guys like this, a lot of the apart, or they'll say heart as art, just that angry kind of I'm very upset with this young lady that did something, but yeah, man.
I never realized that the word heart has a silent H when you sing it, and that's true. I was re-singing the lyric in my head right now. So yeah, that's true. He says art.
He says art.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You want to listen to it? It was clear that this guy was angry, but it's again any kind of even I feel like songs that are kind of pining after a girl, or they would be considered romantic. It's hard when that double kick comes in and that snare drum. You know what I mean? There's a reason why R&B is kind of the music, the go-to music for making out.
You and I share one brain, because right before you said that, I was thinking All My Life by Casey and JoJo.
There you go. Although, I mean, I guess I've made out to heavy metal and punk and stuff.
I've always wanted to dedicate this song to somebody after I broke up with them, but I never, between the time that this album was released and now, I wasn't introduced to this band when I had a girlfriend. And now I hope I don't get to. Now I hope I never break up with my girlfriend. But if I do, I have this song in my pocket. So Shayla, if you're listening, be prepared.
So how would you dedicate it? Would you just put it on the radio?
I'd probably just send her the song on Spotify or YouTube, and then just say listen,
Just
and then
dedicated
throw
to
like
you.
yeah, and then just throw like a big middle finger emoji or something after she heard it, because
That'll
I wouldn't be able to yell at her in person, right? It's all through text, so
that'll show her, man.
breaking up through text is a norm.
It's a classy move. It's a classy move,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Very classy. How about your next pick?
Oh man. So this next one, I told you, I picked some bangers, and this next one was Wesley Willis, "Rock and Roll McDonald's," released in 2004. Sorry, go for it.
Before you do, because you said that, yeah, Jose only picks bangers, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna share a quick story. One of my cousins, he's a teacher at, I think it was at a junior high, and he had mentioned a story where he helps the music teacher by accompanying the choir or the band with his guitar, because he's been playing guitar for 20 odd years, and they were getting prepared for a concert, where all the parents come and they show, they show what the kids have done. And I remember that he had told me that the teacher asked him, well, what should we do? And he just sat there and go, let's just play the hits. That's all you need to do. Just play the hits and you're golden. And that's what that kind of reminded me of. Because Jose, all he does is pick the hits, like this one.
I'm telling you, man, Rock and Roll McDonald's, if you've not heard the magic that is Wesley Willis, I don't even know how to describe it. So Wesley Willis is literally, he was, because I think he passed away not too long ago. He was literally a schizophrenic. He fronted a punk band, like a legitimate punk band called the Wesley Willis Fiasco. But this, and a lot of his self-released stuff, is just him and a keyboard. And it's just like he hits, like you can have a keyboard play like a melody using different instruments. So I think it's literally him just doing that with different instruments to different lyrics. Just to give you, we have Rock and Roll McDonald's is one song, it's classic. Batman Whipped My Ass. I Whipped a Llama's Ass, which is where Winamp got their phrase, by the way. But he
Llama tested, mother approved.
Exactly. But he caught the attention of some like big name, like Henry Rollins is a fan, Eddie Vedder, Jello Biafra, the Dudes in White Zombie. He was on Howard Stern a bunch of times. The dude made it, man.
Yeah. He was in, huh?
I feel, man, like, dude, did I ever tell you? Well, I think I've told you this story, but do you know how I discovered Wesley Willis?
You told me the story, but tell the audience
the
story.
So back in the day when Napster was a thing, we came across a file labeled Nirvana covers Enter Sandman. And we, me and my buddy Steve, were like, well, we got to hear that. Like, that's got to be interesting. And you've got to imagine our surprise when we hit play on that Winamp and the little keyboard jingle comes on and you just hear Wesley Willis screaming about how McDonald's will make you fat. And we both kind of looked at each other and was like, I think this is actually better than what we thought we were going to find. Did you ever have like a fun mislabeled MP3 from the Napster days?
Oh yeah. When I was growing up, my life was dedicated to emo music for quite some time.
Oh, I remember.
And so you would always go to Napster or Kazaa or LimeWire or whatever it was, and they always had this one band. I forgot the name of the band, but right next to the band it said, in parentheses, it would say all of these other bands that you would probably be into if you were. It was like Without Wings or something weird like that, like Angels with Wings or something. And then that was the most emo name you can think of. And then it had all of like the other emo bands that you love at the time. And if you love Thursday and you love Take Me Back Sunday and Dashboard, you're gonna love this band. And it was just another Take Me Back Sunday song. Yeah, I was like, God, dude, this is not Without Wings or whatever it was. Yeah. Just another Take It Back Sunday song.
I love the like rampant mislabeling because I remember a coworker was playing back in the iPod days when you would just have the file, on your iPod. He would play UB40's Red Wine.
Okay.
But the little thing would show and it said Bob Marley. And we actually worked with a guy from Jamaica. And he's like, I am so offended that you would think that Red Wine was by Bob Marley. And he's just like, it's not me. I got it off. That's how he talked about it. It's not me. I got it off of Napster. Fun thing. If you guys have time, there's a great YouTube video on this whole phenomenon of mislabeled Napster songs by this guy named Justin Wang. He goes by Wang on YouTube. You can fall down a rabbit hole if you're my age and you remember the pre-centralized internet, like the old decentralized internet before social media and Google took over everything. He does all these great videos on that stuff, so I would check him out.
Justin Wang, everybody. Every time I think of the name Justin, I think of Justin Long from Zack and Mary Mecha Porno.
I've never seen that, man.
Oh, jeez. Some of my favorite comedy scenes are from Zack and Mary. Well, the Justin Long part was hilarious. But why don't we go to the next song?
All right, man. The next one, this is your pick. Two Door Cinema Club, Cigarettes in the Theater off 2010's Tourist History. Tell me about it, man.
So, this song just makes me want to dance, bro. Every time I hear this song, I'm going to start moving. I'm going to get off on my chair, and I'm going to start dancing. So, I don't think my lady would be interested in me standing up in the middle of something and just start boogieing, because she's gonna be like, "Really, dude? We're in the middle of something." Like, "Sorry, babe, it's Two Door Cinema Club. It just popped up. What do you want from me?" So that's my reaction too. By the way, I would think so. Like, I'd get up and say, "Babe, it's Two Door Cinema Club. What do you want from me?" You know, very Joe Pesci.
That it was a very Joe Pesci, man. That was extremely Joe Pesci.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd like to. Sometimes I feel like a little more blood in, blood out. Sometimes, but I always catch myself going back to the Joe Pesci.
You know, Joe Pesci was a classic, kind of henchman. You know what I mean? Once you've got Goodfellas under your belt and you play that character, man, you're kind of stuck in that forever.
So the first Joe Pesci movie I've ever seen was Home Alone. So my initial introduction to Joe Pesci was not Goodfellas, Casino, My Cousin Vinny, or anything like that. So as I got older and I started watching these movies, I said, "Oh man, that's the dude from Home Alone," right? Before I knew who Joe Pesci was. And then I started watching these movies, like, oh my god, it just totally blew my mind, because I was never accustomed to that Joe Pesci, right?
Yeah, and I think I didn't make that connection because I remember I watched Home Alone so young that I didn't even realize it was the same actor, because I hadn't seen Home Alone in years. And then just recently, you know, because my son, we wanted to show him Christmas movies. We showed him Home Alone, and we actually had to stop because he would run around telling people, stuff like, "You little creep." He would like imitate Joe Pesci. Yeah. So we had to like kind of stop it. He can't go up to kids at school and be like, "You little creep," and then run off.
One of my favorite moments watching Home Alone was watching Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, with one of my cousins. My cousin Josh is very good at throwing nostalgia at you as a joke, right? And so we're watching the part where he's going to try to swing on that broken ladder, that fire escape, so he can swing into the window. And when he lets go, he falls, and that green goo just drops right on top of him, right? Because Macaulay Culkin, like put some goo on it, so he falls. And when it hits him right in the face, like, because it goes, "Hey, what do you use there, Labella?" And as soon as I kind of stayed quiet for like 2-3 seconds, and I looked at him, and I just bursted into laughter. I was like, I would have never thought, like, who remembers Labella but my cousin Josh? You know what I mean? And I go, dude, oh man, those Labella days, those 7th grade when you would put gel in your hair.
God, I think that there is still a full can of Labella somewhere at my mom's place.
Yeah.
Can. No, it was that big plastic tub. It's just a
big plastic one, yeah.
God, the thing, it would last forever.
Yeah, I remember there was one day I had put some Labella on my hands and started putting gel, but I think I'd put too much. So throughout the whole day, my hair started to get super hard and flaky.
Yeah.
That was just an issue in its own. I remember it was bad news.
Well, dude, I had a buddy that were at our good friend Mike. He put Murray's in his hair, and so like Murray's, like if anyone who knows it, it's a pomade, but it's like thick and oily, man. You put Murray's in your hair, and your hair is going to stay. But
quite some time.
The problem is, you lean your head on anything, you're going to leave a big grease spot, man. And this dude used to come over to my place and regularly take naps. And I'd have to be like, dude, you got to put like a towel down, because he's just leaving these grease stains all over everything, man. It's like, dude, give me a break.
Oh, gosh. Let's go to the next song, Jose.
All right, man. This is my last pick, and it was Pearl Jam's Last Kiss. Off of a album from 1999, No Boundaries, a benefit for Kosovo refugees. What'd you think of this one, man?
So I've heard this song countless times, but I never really sat and listened to it. So when you sent me your list and I started listening to it, I thought, gosh, man, like, why would this be? At first, when I first heard it, I said, why would this be a mood killer? And then I paid attention to what he was singing. I said, oh, okay, I understand that now. And it brought a tear to my eye a little bit. I said, God, this song is so sad, dude. This is such a sad story.
I cannot listen to that song without tearing up. I just can't.
I can see that.
I don't know what it is about sad story. The way he sings it makes me sad. I'm tearing up just now, just thinking about it, man. It's like, man, that poor girl, she died. They were just out on a date in her daddy's car.
That was just
yeah, man. We're all just and think about that. Think about the thought of that. Think about tears running down your face as you're embracing the one you love, and then just feeling that this person is someday going to die, and you're never going to hold them again. And it might happen on your way home from that encounter. God forbid.
Okay, let's go to the next one, bro. You're bumming me out, man.
All right.
You're making me rethink my life. I don't want to sell you death sticks anymore.
No more death sticks. I don't want to sell you any more death sticks.
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
So here it is, guys. This is quite possibly the best remix I have ever heard. But Bustin' by Neil Cicierega was uploaded on I can't even get to it. It was uploaded in 2015. Renee, please explain what this song is and how glorious it is.
So this is a remix of what I would think is one of our favorite movies of all time, Ghostbusters. And for those of you who've never seen Ghostbusters, I'm sure you've heard the Ghostbusters theme song, because it plays every Halloween, and it's just one of those things that just, when you think Halloween, you think Ghostbusters.
Ray Parker Jr., the singer.
The Ray Parker, yes, thank you. Ray Parker Jr. Is the artist of that song. And Jose had sent the song to me. And, this guy that made this remix, he had some deep thought about what he wanted to write here. But so the song, the big lyric in the song is "Bustin' makes me feel good," and it was just something that when Jose first showed this to me, I was dying. And I don't think a week goes by that I don't listen to this or I don't text Jose, "Bustin' makes me feel good." And then Jose follows it up with "Bustin', bustin', 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 bustin'." It's just, and it always makes me laugh. Every time I have a chance to say "Bustin' makes me feel good." And then we're throwing at each other. I agree with you. This is possibly one of the greatest remixes of all time.
That song and the video accompanying it have no business being edited so well. So just to give a little more kind of a clarification on it, it's not like this dude just like added like a crazy beat onto this song. He basically took the lyrics and arrange them to make the song about busting. And he's basically took old footage of like a Ray Parker Jr. He took video footage from the music video, some random TV appearance he did on some what sounds like German TV show, and just created this, I'm gonna say, masterful work of art. Even like the original instrumentation, like he found like samples that sound like the samples from the song. Yep. It was just, when I first came across it, I don't remember where I first saw it on my travels, but I just was like, dude, this is an instant classic. This is going down in history as the GOAT, greatest remix of all time.
One of the things that I enjoy the most is that Jose has introduced me to these little sound bits, like the Disturbed sound bit with the Friends theme song.
Oh yes,
and so those things are some of the best, and this one is by far the best thing you've ever showed me, because as we all know, we love this movie, and just to find a remix that is just so perfectly edited with the video that just makes sense that makes sense to the song is pretty great. Absolutely pretty great.
It's a classic, man. Oh jeez. So that runs down our list, man.
It does run down our list. I just blanked out for a second.
You did. You know why? Because you were thinking about busting.
Yeah, and how it makes me feel good. Is that really a mood killer then? Would you really? Because I don't know if that's really a mood killer. So busting makes me feel good.
I guess we should probably talk about like the justification for some of our picks. But I think we did for most of them. But I think with busting, man, it's like this, like if you pop that on with a lady around, and you're seriously trying to, I compare it to this, man. It's kind of like if you were on a date, like an early date with a chick, and you weren't really sure what she was into, and then you're just like, hey, do you want to sit and watch some anime with me? It would just be the kind of thing where it's like, no. No, she doesn't. So if you were to put this on, it's kind of like you're sending a pretty clear signal of the kind of humor you're into, and you got to be real careful about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
because
when you said that, I was thinking right now that is more of like a celebration song instead of a mood killer,
right?
Because after you had an amazing night with your woman and you're proud of your performance, I think that is the best song for you to walk out to.
You know, that's throwing. That's the the post breakfast drive home back to your place. You just throw on busting, man. You just throw it on.
I'm having like this image in my head of some dude just. There is no walk of shame with busting. That's all I gotta say.
No,
there is no walk of shame with busting at all, and it works both ways. Everyone, just go listen to that song. We'll have we will have all these awesome links in the show notes. Wherever you can get these songs, we will get them to you somehow.
Yeah, it should be noted that every song we talk about, like on our list, we're going to create a Spotify playlist for these, and we'll have them for each episode. Something like Bustin' though is not on Spotify, so we'll put a YouTube link up there.
Yes, yeah, we might even make some YouTube playlists then if that's the case.
Yeah, we might have to. I know we're planning some future stuff, and I got some stuff that's only on YouTube right now.
Let's go into our next segment. I'm sorry.
Hey, let's segue into our next segment.
That's what I was thinking. It's late, guys.
It is late, and we are both very tired, but that's okay. All right, let's see. What are your recommendations? We got some weekly recommendations. Every week on the show, I think we're going to try to recommend some stuff. Renee, why don't you go first? What are you going to recommend this week?
I have two recommendations. One is an album, and one is a single that I just found a couple of days ago from a band that you and I both are really into. The album is going to be Tourist History by Tudor Cinema Club, which is the song that I picked off of, which was Cigarettes in the Theater. we had a conversation not too long ago about the idea of what dance punk is, and this might be pretty close to what new dance punk is, and I think it's pretty awesome. Well, their newer stuff has gotten a little more dance instead of more dance punk, but I think that these guys are great. Especially, this is one of my favorite one of my favorite albums of all time. Pretty close to it. It's just so much fun. It's their full length debut that was back in 2011 or 2010. I think it was 2011. We said awesome. I definitely recommend that. Now, my second recommendation, Jose. I don't know if you know this, but Coheed and Cambria came out with the single on Spotify. Have you gotten wind of this?
I've seen the video, man. Yeah, the Jesse's Girl 2.
Yes, and it has Rick Springfield,
who looks remarkably good considering how old he must be. That's gotta be fucking work.
Kudos to Rick Springfield for looking as good as he does.
That's gotta be work done, right? That can't be what he looks like.
I don't know. Look at The Rock.
How old is The Rock?
Probably in his 50s, early 50s.
I gotta find this out. The Rock age.
Rock,
and then I gotta find out.
Rick Springfield.
The Rock age. He is. Oh my God. The Rock.
He has to be 51, 52,
maybe. 51. All right, let's look. Let's look. Homeboy is 48.
Oh man.
And now.
Oh yeah.
Rick Springfield. This is good podcasting right here.
Yeah, this is great podcasting.
Holy
everybody.
Christ! Rick Springfield is 71 years old, and he looks like that.
That's nothing, dude. 71 is nothing now, man. 71 is nothing,
dude. So if you've not seen the video, he looks younger than Claudio Sanchez.
Yeah,
like
dude,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he really does.
I honestly,
go ahead.
I honestly got to give it up to. If you're looking as good as Rick Springfield and you survived being like essentially a pop star in the 80s with like no one gave a shit about the after effects of drugs, you know what I mean? Like, kudos to you. That guy must have golden genes.
You know, it was cool when that song came out, because I thought to myself, man, like Rick Springfield must really like Coheed and Cambria to say, hey, you guys can take the second part of this song. I thought that was pretty cool, and the fact that he had some guest vocals on there was pretty awesome too.
That was rad. I thought that was really cool. And then he was in the video and all that stuff. Like, yes. Yeah. Did you see the video?
I have not seen the video. I have not seen it, but I have seen pictures of Rick Springfield lately, and he looks great.
God, he looks crazy. He's phenomenally good looking.
How about you? What's your recommendation?
So I'm gonna keep with the theme. So my recommendation for this week is going to be an album and a movie. The album is going to be by the band Godspeed You Black Emperor, and the album is called F Sharp A Sharp Infinity. So if you are not familiar with Godspeed You Black Emperor, they are a Canadian post-rock band. That's basically code for they write 30-minute long, like musical, soundscapey, just sometimes orchestral like pieces. And I gotta say that off this album, this is their debut album, the Dead Flag Blues is just one of my all-time favorite kind of like long form musical pieces. It is definitely not danceable. It is definitely not something you're gonna want to put on to get people pumped up. It's slow. It's like music to study or write to. It's just bleak and like But I highly recommend that. Don't expect to be making out with your lady with that one on. And then my movie recommendation is going to be The Holy Mountain by Alejandro Jodorowsky. Are you familiar with any of Jodorowsky's work, Renee?
I'm not actually.
So Jodorowsky is a filmmaker. He's done a line of comic books. He's a writer. He's basically like this crazy mystic and the Holy Mountain was a recommendation of our friend Davey.
Did you find that on Spotify?
I found it on Spotify. Look it up, kids. It's a thing. But the movie, he's like, it's one of my favorite movies. You should check it out. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it has one of my
If Davey recommends it, I'm going to have to give it a watch.
Well, here's the thing about it, man. It took me 4 or 5 tries to get through it.
Oh, okay.
And the reason that I say that is because this is really not much of a story there. You're going to see some of the craziest images you've ever seen on film. Like, it's beautiful in that way. This isn't giving anything away, but there is a point in the movie where a guy shits into a glass jar and then later it turns into gold. That's literally a thing that happens. There's a story about like these people that are based on tarot cards going on this magical journey. But the ending that I won't spoil, but it is one of my favorite fuck you endings to the audience. And it literally, when I finally got through it, I laughed so hard that I was like, yep, this has got to be one of my favorite movies. You're not going to put it on. This is kind of accustomed to, you got to date over 3rd or 4th time. Hey, you want to watch anime? No, you're not going to say, hey, you want to watch The Holy Mountain? Unless you think she's a chick that's really into arty cinema. Or a gentleman. This is if you're a lady and you're trying to impress a gentleman. Or if I'm trying to stay woke. Whatever, whoever you want to date. Maybe don't put these on right away.
I was gonna say something. The biggest fuck you ending I think to an audience ever for us that I thought was Mi Vida Loca, because that ending. Because I can't spoil an ending for you guys if there is no ending. So
yeah. Well, so I mean, that definitely ended on a downbeat for sure.
That definitely threw me off. Absolutely. Let's wind it down.
Let's do it, man.
So, I have a question for you, and I think we might have asked this. I might have asked you this in the middle of an episode, but it wasn't a wind down question. So, I think this is going to be my wind down question because I saw something on the internet today that really made me think about this. Do you think that The Matrix would have been a good movie if it didn't have any sequels?
I think The Matrix on its own is one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. And I don't think that the sequels tarnish that first one, but I definitely think that trilogy leaves you so unsatisfied at the end that it just kind of like a downbeat.
Well, let me rephrase my question then. Do you feel like The Matrix would have been a more memorable movie now if it wasn't for the sequels?
Yeah, I definitely think. Well,
because nobody talks about The Matrix. In all honesty, I don't know anybody that talks about The Matrix.
I think,
and I just feel that if it wasn't for those 2 sequels, I think that people would talk more about The Matrix than anything, in my opinion.
I think I'm gonna disagree a bit. I think people talk about The Matrix. There's still a lot of that lingo kind of thrown. You get a lot of. I know. Excuse me. I know, like the men's rights groups have stolen away the red pill, blue pill thinking type deal. But I think the problem with The Matrix is beyond the sequels being kind of unsatisfying and a little confusing. Well, let's be honest, very confusing. You got to remember, man, when that movie came out, it got parodied so hard. And that whole like bullet time thing, that like slow-mo camera thing that at the time was like the most revolutionary thing we'd ever seen. Every cartoon and TV show and parody movie had that stupid scene, and it was just taken to that limit of like it was so so in your face that you just got tired of it.
Yeah.
I kind of compare it to, it's like, I Will Stand By. I think the first Austin Powers is a funny movie, but you ain't going to hear anyone quoting Austin Powers now, man. It became such a thing where your dad would say, "Hey, baby," and they'd do the whole thing, and you're just like, please stop and go away.
It's kind of like Napoleon Dynamite.
It's like Napoleon Dynamite, though. Although, man, I love that fucking movie, dude.
I can never get enough of that fucking movie.
I will watch that movie 10,000 times.
Yeah, it never gets old for me. So the reason I asked you is because I just found out that they're making a Matrix Part 4.
Yeah, man, they've been filming it.
Yeah, and it's been pushed back, I think, for 2022. But I didn't realize that. I said, man, that would be a good question for the wind down. And I know we spoke about that before, but I don't think we talked about it in depth like we did right now. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm excited.
So my problem with the Matrix trilogy is that it didn't have an ending. Or it didn't have a satisfying one. Like, I get, like, if you want to make a hard sci-fi movie that has an unsatisfying ending that's like trying to ask like a major question, that's cool. But if you're gonna make like big Hollywood blockbusters, either the good guys or the bad guys have to win, and that fucking thing ended in a truce. Yeah.
It kind of, I don't think I've been excited for a movie in a little bit, and I'm really excited to go get to watch Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know, man. I'm excited. I know we can rent it or buy it now on streaming services. So, or I think on YouTube and Prime Video, I think is also offering it too. So I'm excited to see that. I haven't pulled the trigger yet because I want to make some time to watch the movie.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I don't know about other people, but Bill and Ted's always been one of my favorites. So. I remember watching Bogus Journey before Excellent Adventure. And I remember watching Excellent Adventure after I was like, oh, man, this is so much better than Bogus Journey.
Man, Bogus Journey gets shit on a lot, but I love that movie.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I love it. It's kind of like Wayne's World 2.
Yeah. Or like Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best analogy there, right? Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit about our social media and where people can find us.
All right, guys. You can always find us on our website, halfstepdownpod.com. That's where you're going to find all the episodes, links to all our social media. If you don't want to go to a website, you can always look us up on Instagram or Twitter. We're at halfstepdownpod. If you are an old person and like Facebook, go to facebook.com/halfstepdownpod. We're going to have a YouTube link coming soon, but we're still working on that. There's going to be playlists via Spotify for all our episodes. You can check the links are going to be in the descriptions. And then finally, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and
Spotify,
or wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever. And if you like what you hear, just spread the word. Get it out there, man.
That's not the first time you've said Apple Podcast either, by the way.
I have been up since 4 a.m, my friend. I have been up since 4 a.m. I have 2 small children. So I'm doing the best I can, man.
Yeah. And you know what? It's comedy gold, though, so I'm okay with it.
It is. I mean, if the jokes aren't funny, at least me saying things is funny, right?
Yeah. That's tough. Comedy is very hard, man. I always felt like I was a funny guy, and then I met my girlfriend, and she doesn't laugh at anything I say. So I think she makes me rethink my life at times, my comedy at least.
You just got to workshop more.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more work. I'll throw some zingers at you later on and tell me what you think.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, Jose was. I think this is our first episode where we. Obviously, we're doing these remotely, but this is the first time that we did over a full video chat, right? And we're able to see each other.
Yeah,
I think this
is the way we're gonna go from now on.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I'm not gonna say anything. We can't be near each other for a while, but at least we have this. I apologize. My dog has been making noise, guys. Sorry, I'm stuck in my room right now.
Free podcast, everybody.
But I promise it's gonna get better.
Definitely.
Yes. Jose, you have yourself a good night and get some sleep because you've been up all night or all day. I apologize. And we'll see each other soon.
See you guys.
Yeah, give it up for these guys. I promise you guys.
Just so we're all